I'm a little embarrassed. I'm a little ashamed. My preseason rankings didn't do great week one, but it's early, and I'm not going to overreact because you should not overreact, but I'm a little bit sad. I just did a recap. I'm actually doing one other league now. I did a recap where I got every single team right. My top 5 teams played the bottom 5 teams. All top 5 teams won. This league almost entirely incorrect. At least week one goes. So I'll hold myself accountable. Let's talk about why it is. Let me be a little overly defensive, but let me more so talk about what week one means for these teams moving forward. And why not start with the team that I talk about the most, Team Glory Hole, a team I absolutely loved, a team that had the best value pick in my opinion in Eli Mitchell. And we're going to start there. People, if anyone, Glory Hole, tells you that, I'm going to actually move this over here so I'm looking at you guys. If anyone tells you that Eli Mitchell, oh, he's obviously injury prone, oh, you took a Niners running back, he sucks. They have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. Obviously, I had Eli Mitchell on my team is the only reason I'm so passionate. They don't know what they're talking about. I'm pretty sure I could curse on this. Just tell me if I can't. They don't know what they're talking about because it's a complete freak injury. Any running back's injury prone because you get hit by the strongest people in the world. And this guy, it had nothing to do with any other injury. He was averaging 7 yards per carry beforehand. I honestly, now there's no way to prove it. I honestly think Eli Mitchell was an easy top 10 running back this season. So we got absolutely screwed. Kamara also had a bad game. So when your running backs have a bad game, you're in a lot of trouble. And that's what happened here. I love your backs. You fortunately have Dalvin you could plug right in. From the bench, you're probably going to bring in Rashad Penny, I would guess, over Chase Edmonds, just given it seems like Rashad Penny might be a bigger part of that offense. Although they had the same amount of carries, Chase Edmonds actually one more target. So you can go either way. I would respect either one. For you, I think when J.K. Dobbins gets back, he's going to be the guy. Your wide receiver position was the one of more concern because that in this league with 3 wide receivers, when you get DK Metcalf looking incredibly athletic, but still only getting 5.6 from it, and then DJ Moore 7.5. I think that's more of the concern. I'm not really concerned about the RB position. I think you got unlucky. It's not panic mode for Team Glory Hole, but it is a huge congratulations to Team El Captain. Tell Captain, 211 points actually put you at the most points in the league. Very, very impressive week. In the preseason with your team, I thought it was an average team because of a B. I did say that I love Justin Jefferson more than Kupp, and that's what happened here, 42.4 points, and that's why your team really went off. Great running back group in Saquon and James Conner, proved value. The concern or thing to look out here are actually 2 guys I do have as well, McLaurin and Amari Cooper. So since I have them, I do follow them a little bit closer, and I think panic mode on Amari Cooper is fine, although it was a lower value guy, so I'm kind of surprised he's starting, but it's fine. Amari Cooper, 6 targets, 17 yards, obviously really, really bad. I do think Cleveland knows that they're paying him a good amount of money. He's a very talented wide receiver. They need to get the passing game going more. The game script wasn't amazing for that. They were up most of the game. So I do think Amari has better weeks coming in for him, but I think it's better as a bench stash like I have him than a starter. Terry McLaurin, only 4 targets. Luckily got a very long receiving touchdown to save the day. That one is also one to be a little bit concerned about compared to ADP. I think as a McLaurin owner, it's a hold because he's so talented, and it's good that Wentz looked like he really was capable of navigating a good offense, which McLaurin needs. You don't want a top guy on a bad offense, but you do want the top guys. So we do want to see McLaurin not get overtaken, of course, by Dotson or Curtis Samuel. I don't think he will, but next week will tell us a lot more. I think overall for El Captain, you're looking pretty good, but I think both these teams are looking like pretty good playoff options. Cesar Trons gets the close win, 141-134 over Paco Libre, getting very lucky with garbage time points from Kyler Murray, and that's really what made the difference here. Mixon and Chubb, both really good games. The issue I've always said with Chubb is his lack of involvement in the passing game. That happened again, only 1 target for 2 yards. That's why I'm concerned. You don't want to rely on home run hitters, but when you pair him with Mixon and he's your RB2, Chubb becomes a lot better. A lot of teams would have to rely on him as their top guy, but you somehow got both. Wide receiver, you've seen injury with T. Higgins. That's a concern. You see only 5 targets for Gabriel Davis with that touchdown. I'd say overall, his ADP, people are getting really high on him because he got a touchdown. I mean, that was like a design play where he was wide open. So I'm not crazy high on him, but I do think he's a good option this season. And pairing him with Jerry Jeudy, who looked very athletic last season, makes it a good wide receiver group. In your flex, I think you got to stick with Zeke, but you do have Miles Sanders on the bench, so I'm curious to see where you go here. I think for Caesartrons, the story is that you have depth. You're looking really good. You got a really clutch win. So, yeah, there's really not much to say. That's great news for you. And it's unfortunate because you really also only got the win because Dak Prescott got injured / had a really bad game beforehand. I wonder if he played the full game. I do think he would have came back and won, but there's no way to know. So that's alert number 1. Alert number 2 for Paco Libre is Cam Akers only getting 0 points. He's unstartable in my opinion, in most people's opinion. So who do you go to on the bench? You probably bring Gibson in from the flex, make him a starter. And then where do you go on the bench? Do you bring in Christian Kirk and put him in flex? I think that's probably what most people would say at this point. I would be tempted for Nyheim Hines, but I think at this point you got to ride Kirk out. The good news is, guys, like Jalen Waddle, that could go either way. He's showing to still be a huge part of that offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 12 targets, as we were talking about. Preseason's a good option, and Kelsey is still Kelsey. So for Paco Libre, it's not looking great, but you do have pieces. So I do anticipate you making it work, but definitely not an amazing week 1 for you. Let's bring it to Pain Train and Livin' La Vida Yoda. Livin' La Vida Yoda with a big win. A team I wasn't a huge fan of outside of Josh Allen, but Josh Allen did it himself this week. Honestly, the thing with this team is we love the top half of the team. We love Josh Allen, we love DeAndre Swift, we love Devontae Adams, and those guys alone gave you over 100 points. The issue I had is with the depth. I don't like Damian Harris as an RB2, and he only got you 8.3 points. I don't like Elijah Moore at all. He got you 8.9 points. So fortunately for you, Cordero went off. That's great news for you. The question is, will you get more support from those secondary guys where when your top guys don't perform well, you could still win games? That's my concern with Livin' La Vida Yoda. We'll keep an eye on that. You have to assume that given this performance, he's going to make a run, but I still have some concern. Between Pain Train and Livin' La Vida Yoda, I'm now, I guess, a bit higher on Pain Train, but I just think Pain Train's going to have better weeks. Pain Train, really bad running back play from Henry and Aaron Jones. I have to imagine you get more. Keenan Allen with an injury only will sideline him 1 week, so I'm not concerned. The good news is A.J. Brown, who I thought was a little bit overdrafted, clearly wasn't. An absolute beast, goes off. A fantastic piece to match with Keenan Allen and Juju, who I view as reliable wide receiver ones in their offenses. So yeah, I mean, I think both these teams that we're talking about, their stock went a little bit up despite Pain Train having a week. I think both their stock went up from when I reviewed them before, so I don't think it's panic mode for either of these teams. I think Livin' La Vida Yoda is clearly better than what I drafted him in the preseason, and we'll see if he could keep it up. The blowout of all blowouts, Untouchables, 151 to 160 to just 61 for the chairman. The chairman wants to absolutely flush this one down the toilet. It was a team that I didn't love. It was a B- preseason because I don't like the depth, but it wasn't the depth that was the issue. It was the top of this team. Austin Eckler only 10 points, CeeDee Lamb only 4.9 points, and losing Dak on 11 targets. The depth, though, was also a problem. Devontae Smith, 0 points. I don't like him as a starter. Didn't get 1 catch. Deontay Johnson, only 10 points. Not fantastic on 12 targets. Darren Mooney, only 3 targets, 1 catch, 8 yards. And Aaron Rodgers, only 1.7 points. If you're team the chairman, the question is, what now? I don't think you could panic on Aaron Rodgers. You definitely don't panic on Eckler. ETN had opportunities for touchdowns. I don't think you panic there. I do think you panic with your wide receiver group 100%. But at least you get to flush Darnell Mooney's bad weather game down the toilet. Maybe he could step up and be a piece for you because you really need it. Obviously not a team that I'm projecting for the playoffs. Not preseason, not now. But I guess we're just going to have to wait and see with this team. Captain Corrupt, I was definitely higher on this team. It was a B+, so I guess I got this one right. This is a team that I said I was really, I felt was really well balanced, and I think that's what you saw here. I think you got production from the running back position, you got production from the wide receiver position, and you got even decent production from your tight end, which I would believe your tight end will perform even better moving forward. That offense looks really good with Dallas Goedert. So you got a better week from Tom Brady? Yes. Will you always get crazy weeks from both Taylor and Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Probably not, but at this point, I think it continues to be a well-balanced team that I'm pretty high on. I think Untouchables is probably looking now towards the playoffs, and I expect them to be a playoff team. Of course, it's very early. The final game is We Went With Jared getting a win 178 to 148. For We Went With Jared, we were talked in the preseason that we felt that this team was solid. It was a B+. So I guess I actually got this one right too. Maybe I'm being too hard on myself. But for We Went With Jared, this is another team that got some really big performances and well-balanced production from really all areas, running back, wide receiver, quarterback, and tight end. I think the best thumbs up for you is the continued production from your wide receivers. When you got Jamar and Kupp, it looked like a team that was going to be very dangerous. The only question was, will they continue to be the guys in their team? The answer is yes. 15 and 16 targets, both with a 120-something and a touchdown. Incredible. Bateman is the only guy starter I don't love. He got one big play to save his day. I still don't love him, especially with the emergence of Duvernay. But I should also say, sorry, Renfro I also don't love, only because Devontae is getting such a high target share. But you get Darrell Henderson on the bench looking like an RB1. You get Michael Carter now clearly being the starter. I think there's a lot to be excited about before we went with Jared. I think this is a playoff team as well. Very, very strong performance. For El Grenas, again, pronounced that wrong. Najee's injury, of course, cost you. Wasn't going to make a difference this week, but definitely looks bad. The good news is A.J. Dillon with a big performance. The good news is Diggs with a big performance. And the good news is Michael Pittman with a big performance. So for this team, as long as you get Allen Robinson to perform and Mike Williams to perform the way they should, I'm not super high on them. I thought they were both overdrafted, but I do think they're still startable guys. You get them at 10 to 12 points on average per week, you're looking good. The issue is I think these are two going to be huge roller coasters with those guys. Big weeks and small weeks. Mike Williams always was like that. I think that's going to be Allen Robinson on the Rams as well. So the question is, can they hold you until DeAndre Hopkins gets back? I think they'll do fine, but I'm a little bit concerned with you hanging on until D-Hop returns, just because other teams are a little bit deeper, getting a little bit more consistent production. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that game. But with all that being said, it looks like week 1 is in the books. I think no team really saw their team go crash and burn. So I think we'll see some different results next week. I think there'll be a lot of one-on-one teams. I think a lot of good teams lost. And I am excited to chat about it. Talk soon.